Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thebridgebythree. I am Candice.
I'm Kayla.
Kenisha.
We never know who's next. We never know. All right, so we are back. Happy belated Mother's Day.
Yes.
Mother's Day has
Happy
come and
Mother's Day.
gone. I had a pretty adventurous Mother's Day in which I had a day to myself and I met some beautiful sisters on
Little
the street.
adventure.
Yeah, it was definitely an adventure. Shout out to the sisters that I met on Mother's Day. It was really a blessing. You know, some things in life just happen by chance and you just know it was meant to be and you were just where you were supposed to be and you said what you should have said and things were just aligned. It was one of those type of vibes and it just felt really good and it definitely just gave me like a boost of energy to help recharge my battery, right? So I thought that was very fitting to have that experience on Mother's Day.
I love that.
But yes, welcome back. We are here and you know, I got to vent. I got to keep it real because, you know, I'm Candice and if you know me, I don't hold my tongue.
Love that.
I'm going to name the thing. I'm going to say the elephant in the room. I'm going to do that. And today we were supposed to have a guest who shall remain nameless. At least I'll try. But no, I'm not gonna be nice. Because we still love you. But
Yes,
we were
totally.
supposed to have a guest. And that guest is a Gen Zer. It is one of Kayla's friends. And we had a topic and we set a date and we were just and this person wanted to talk about a particular thing, right? And I was ready, like, okay, when you want to do this? We set dates, things were great. And then the person flaked. And they're not here right now.
Yeah.
And granted, there's always a reason. People have reasons, you know, whatever, something came up. However, you know, I think that one, flakiness really grinds my gears. Flakiness and anyone who doesn't do what they say they're going to do, as simple as that, really, it doesn't sit well with me. And we are here still moving forward, you know, because that's what we do. However, I think it's important to discuss the effects of what happens when people don't follow through. And I feel like I've been really experiencing or seeing that a lot with Gen Z. That they are the ones who, like, if they say they're gonna do something and it could be they talk a good game, they look like they know what they're talking about, they seem confident in the moment when they're first pitching their idea to you, and then when you watch, you know, time go on or things get closer to the time of it happening and it's the follow through.
Yeah.
The follow through is either lacking or it's just not existent at all. And doing what they say they're gonna do, it's like you now, as the person who's waiting for hoping it happens, have to be on eggshells, hoping that they actually follow through with what they're going to do. And I just refuse to live like that. Like I wouldn't deal with people like that because it becomes more about you know, who your character is and what type of a person that you are when you are exhibiting the ability to not show up when you say you're going to show up.
Yeah.
And then it's just that lack of understanding of how they then or their lack of has now impacted whatever
Others.
was supposed to go on. And the impact could be on many different levels. And that's not even a consideration. And I'm just like, where is the care about people beyond yourself? Where is the care about doing what you say you're going to do? And like, I just don't understand.
I think that like when you say like caring about other people but yourself, I think that Gen Z has had a history of like, not all Gen Z though. I think it's partially the individuality that comes across over social media and like the rhetoric around self-care and a lot to do with this situation has to do with prioritization and learning how to juggle things, but also when it comes to the social media aspect, like we're thinking about life and like things going on in the world and things that we have to do within our own life, then it goes into when you need to do something for someone else. Someone may, prioritize doing things for other people before they do things for themselves. And then people will, do the flip side and then prioritize exactly what they want to do or how they're feeling. Feelings are a big thing. And over other people, because at the end of the day it's like, what is the world, what is other people. First of all, it'll be a feeling of, okay, this doesn't matter, or secondly it'll be a
But
feeling
that
of
part, look at this tattoo. Everything
yeah,
matters, okay? Like, no, it does matter.
It really does.
or it can be a thing of like you're just trying to, like, you don't know how to navigate it and you just say sorry, you're sorry for inconveniencing another person because you like have to prioritize yourself in that moment.
My
But
thing is just,
also,
where's the thinking ahead part of it, right? Where
Yeah.
does that? I feel like they're lacking that. The thinking ahead, because that is how you make decisions. Like, it can't be, oh well, right now I'm available, right now so I'll say yes to something 2 weeks from now. I'm not even going to think about what else I got going on at that time. I'm just going to say yes. Like, what
but
is
even
that?
and that's incorporated in planning too, because when you and that's the reason that it needs to be worked on in terms of Gen Z's character and Gen Z turning into adults. It's like the preparedness when it comes to organizing everything all of your responsibilities. It needs to be there when you're communicating with other people as well. And that's something that I feel like is lacking in Gen Z. Like, we need to learn how to communicate very clearly and then like know what's going on in our lives, right? I think it's a thing of like we used to talk about having an idea, right? Or having an idea for like a party or something, and then it might just get canceled because it wasn't very well thought out, or like certain things. And there's a lot of giving up when we talk about like bringing things into action. In our last podcast, I think that has a lot to do with what we're talking about today, because
For sure.
it just like things just fall apart sometimes. And in moments where, you're communicating with someone and you said that you were going to do something, there's a lot of giving up when it comes to Gen Z, and like, this doesn't matter, like we just won't do this. But I think that what's important in this example is that it's important to show up regardless of what's going on, to make things work and to try and find balance. Because showing up, you never know what's going to happen. Like, I think the building of this podcast showed us how important showing up is for however long that takes. Showing up to, no matter how tired we are in the morning. And like,
every Sunday we do this on Sundays.
Yes.
And every Sunday is like rolling out the bed and texting each other, and but we do it.
We do it, or the journey that it takes to get
yes,
here.
Lord, because public transport. None of us drive, so
Right.
public transportation and
Switching up on
the
us
J
and
train
everything.
only going halfway, and
so we have to figure out like bringing things into action, and as a Gen Z, as like our generation, we really need to understand what it takes from us and the organization it takes, and the communication and understanding, like, it's important to take the actions when they need to be taken, and preparedness and the timelines, and understanding that time isn't always your friend, and you have to really,
really
like
isn't.
look at things, look at your money, look at time, look at
be realistic. That's what that's called. Being
Yeah.
realistic about situations, about you and what is going on and happening around you. Not just existing and trying to block shit off and being oblivious to the
Right.
shit that you need to be paying attention to.
Yeah. But
Because-
you made
yeah.
a point about feelings. I feel like a lot of Gen Z, because I see it all around me. I don't feel.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's the
okay,
basis.
I get it. I understand it. And not that your feelings aren't important, but it's like we just sometimes have to set those feelings
Kick them
aside
shits to the
in
back
order
burner.
to get things done. It's like, I don't feel like getting up to go to work. I don't feel like working
Right.
out. I don't feel like eating healthy. But I'm like, there is a greater end result with making these decisions. It's like, okay, you got to go to work to get what you need to get the money to pay the bills, rent, whatever the case might be. If you like to travel, all the things that going to work pays for and does, it's like it's a decision daily. It's not like, oh, I'm so excited to go to work. No, no one does.
Yeah.
But it has to be something that gets done for your life to feel and look a certain way. And it's like allowing them to understand, like, you have to put those feelings to the side. They don't know how to navigate that, I feel. I mean, and granted, it's not just Gen Z. We all have that mindset at times, but it's a matter of deciding, like, which side of the pendulum I'm going to swing.
The perception, and
Yeah.
this is what I tell Kayla. And the thing is that I feel like, and it's not even just a Gen Z, people in general, right?
Yes,
Some
for
people
sure.
in general, they let their feelings
Dictate
rule
everything.
their perception.
Yeah, for sure.
So feelings, not understanding, feelings are fleeting. Feelings
Yes.
come and go. But now you've made these feelings have such a big platform in your life. You put them above everything, put them over logic, put them over every fucking
Yes.
thing that really helps shit go and drive and the motivation.
Yeah.
So you got these feelings, and now you're creating a perception around the feelings.
That's, yeah.
So now, I felt this, or now I'm going to stick with it. Now I got to put a label on it. Okay, now that's the feeling, and this is what I think about that feeling, and now I don't want to have this feeling anymore. So anytime that I feel this way, my mind is going to go to the negative where I can't. But then what happens to you? You stay stuck. And now you're stagnant because your feelings helped you create this perception that you're sticking with. Not understanding you got to create the perception based off of logic and what's happening around you and what's needed to be done. What based on the actions that are going to be needed to get you to point X, Y, and Z. Not your feelings. Feelings are fleeting.
Yeah.
Feelings don't last.
Right, they don't.
Unless you choose to make them last.
That's true.
And you can't like function that way, as we're talking about like functioning and how we work in society. It's about when you talk about like perception, that leads into purpose and understanding that you know, bringing up that purpose. I feel like Gen Z doesn't understand the purpose of a lot of things. And then when it comes to, you know, highly functioning or low functioning, I feel like you see adults, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot of examples around you that you don't understand, like how people are functioning, and you realize that there's a level that they're not at, or that they're not fulfilling within themselves to be whole and to be showing up and be communicating. And when you take that into consideration and you try and be better yourself, you know, and understand how you can function and find your own flow, it's a process that I feel like a lot of people don't know how to get to, you know, how to build that perception. And I think that like we're taught our perception through our feeds or whatever. And you have to choose.
That part, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. And so when you get to a place where you're like, okay, this isn't working, and, you know, I have to do these things, and you look at, you know, your own personal flaws, you then have to see how you yourself can learn how to put your feelings aside, using your feelings as teachers, and understanding that, you know, making the next move on the chessboard, basically. And how a lot of that for Gen Z is like depressing, or not, or when you were talking about like putting things like out of your mind, it's a very disassociative approach, I feel like, that Gen Z takes. Whereas it needs to be you need to hold it. You need to see everything that you have to deal with, and you need to go at it as best as you can. And that venture is, I think, what is missing from the generations, and being in community with each other, because that struggle um, is something that you have to do in life. So
Yeah, and like standing on your word, it's like sometimes that's all you have to prove who you are. And if you don't fulfill that, whether it's commitment or other areas that you need to, come through for something or someone, it's like, okay, you said you was going to do this at this time and you didn't do it. Well, I don't know if I can trust you for something else
Yes.
or trust you with something else, because now you now created this thought or
Doubt.
doubt. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
you left
sure.
room for doubt.
You did, yeah, by doing that, because now you open a whole, Pandora's box. Like, okay, I don't know. Now I'm gonna like second guess and think twice before I actually give you something to do or say, all right, you're gonna do this and you're gonna come through. I'm not quite sure. Now you leave me in a position to feel like I might have to have a, B, and C backup when you don't want to, because you already like set that commitment and say you're gonna stick to it. So now it just creates something, an alternative, result that you were not looking into. So
And I mean, maybe I was fortunate enough because in my family, in my household, my family does what they say. I grew up around family that, and typically, you would think it's about, like you say, the household, right? Like things start in the household.
yeah,
I think even with you, I think that, and you tell me if it's a different experience for you, but as far as I know, in our family, that's what happens. What our family says they're gonna do, it happens. And then we're even a family like, all right, well, if one ain't got, somebody else got. You know what I'm saying? Like we
hold
think
each
along
other.
those lines.
but not everyone lives like that. There's a lot of pain in
Yeah.
those relationships, and that leads to just not knowing at all that, like, how to get through that, and how to prioritize, and how to even, like, because you'd think it would be okay to, like, say you're gonna do something and be like, oh, actually, I'm sorry, I can't do this. But then, you don't incorporate the trickle down effect, or it doesn't trump what it is that you need to do instead. And I think that in the workplace situation and in relationships, even, it can be it can chip in relationships, it can chip at the relationship. And in the workplace, it can be a complete form of doubt. And, you can't do this. And as we're growing up, we have to understand that the responsibility is getting real, and everything is getting real. And the whole second chance thing has to come with the understanding that you have to take the action that you agree to, that you commit to, and learning what commitment means, and even love. Like, that's a whole aspect of the self that we're coming into now as we grow and see that, oh, this is not going to fly, despite the feelings, or for whatever reason that or just the lack of learning how to balance, or the lack of knowing how to balance things.
but even going back to the house, right? It's like within the home, like every individual in the home plays a part, and your part is important, because sometimes people feel like, you know, what impact can I make? How much of my contribution is worthwhile?
Yeah.
Your contribution is worthwhile. Even if it's a small
Even the little
contribution,
kids
it's necessary.
even your little kid
Yeah.
that you think they can't really help with nothing.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no, little
They're
Tommy,
low
you
it to
can
the
go over
ground.
there, hold
They
this.
can pick
Bring
that
it
up.
over there. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
the lack of community in society, because I
Yeah.
feel some people will be like, well, what if I don't, like, want to, or what if I just want to exist, and don't want to like have this major impact on society. Well, that
You
in
cannot
smaller
just exist.
communities.
You
Yeah.
cannot, and then
That's
then
an
you know what? You need
unfulfilling
to really
life.
learn, and you need to go on a journey and understand what life is,
A
honey.
purpose.
Because there's
Yeah.
no just existing. Everything
And what does
has a
that look
purpose,
like?
down to the freaking little ants. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look at what they do together. Like, we have to come out of this ego even when people don't, when they have the thought of, well, oh, what am I existence? Like, no, oh, you really just in your ego thinking like you ain't about shit. No, you have a fucking purpose, and use that ego that you have to drive you to do whatever your purpose is to do, or drive you to figure it out. Because no, it's not a book that somebody's going to give you to read and your name is going to be on page 31 and it's going to tell you what your purpose is. No, it's about experiencing things. It's about having a day like I had last weekend where you just go and you just let the universe guide you, because
Right.
you don't overthink and you're just flowing with whatever feels right. That's when you let your feelings come into play,
Right.
right? Whatever feels right, let it guide you, right? Let it guide you. Walk down that block. Something told you make that left, make that left.
Right.
You know, you never know where you're going to end up. You never know who you're going to meet. And then
That's so
be
true.
open to communicating. Be open to speaking. Be open to whatever it is that is going to come your way, because it could be that by you being so closed or apprehensive or to yourself, you're not receiving what you should be receiving. You're not finding your way in your path because you're scared
Right.
to exist.
You're
Yeah.
not taking action.
But sometimes, like, if there is like not this outlined structure, it's like, oh no, I have to stick to this plan that I outlined. Because if I go off it, I can't function. I'm like, you got to be spontaneous. You got to be like, okay, I'm just going to do something on a whim and it's going to be okay. It's going to work itself out,
It's like when Kayla says, oh, I got to go in my journal, in my book, in my spreadsheet. And it's like, just do the thing.
I know. And then
just do it.
sometimes like that's how her brain operates. I get it. But then sometimes you have to like go off the beaten path and do something that doesn't feel natural, because then that's going to build another level in your character, right?
Yeah, you have to live in the uncomfortable feeling until it's
Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah. And it's hard sometimes, but it does something to your spirit when you do that, So it just takes those risks and those unexpected moments that you like yourself experience didn't know that would happen. And when it does, it's like, okay, wow, I'm still standing. I'm okay. I'm living. And that I feel
It's
like
worth it.
yeah, I feel like it makes life that much more interesting and exciting, because sometimes we just get into this monotonous routines and do things by the books. And yes, that's good and it has its purpose and its place, but it's like sometimes we have to go off a little bit and see what happens with that. So
Like, can we talk about your birthday? And can we talk about like the vibe at your birthday and like how, like, who was I telling? I was telling, I think it was Stacy.
The vibe?
Yeah, I was telling, because Stacy was like, how was it, right? I was like, it was cool, right? I was like, definitely not the party I would have had, or
Oh,
like
really?
anything like that, or definitely to me didn't even utilize the space as much
Oh, really?
as it could have been utilized, right? And I'm like, all right, so explain like what you guys, now to me, good amount of people. It ain't even about amount of people. The amount of people was fine,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's such a, I don't even know if this is all across the board. I don't know if this is just you and your particular friends that, people you gravitate to. But this, and I always call you Grandma Shirley. I've always called Kayla Grandma Shirley.
Why?
Since she was literally a little child.
Really?
Because Kayla's always just been, I've always been, I'm like, oh, let's do this. Let's go.
Right. Free spirit flowing.
And Kayla's just this, always been like a little bit reserved and just suck her tongue will vibrate, right? Still does it sometimes, like, and she was chill. She was chill, but she didn't want to do much. It wasn't like wasn't much excitement, She was a people person and she was very friendly. Like she didn't have any stranger danger, which I wish she had a little bit, right? But like, but she was just, I call her Grandma Shirley. She just liked to chill, be with her nana, stay at home. Like, she liked that kind of life. And with the party, it reminded me so much. I'm like, this is Grandma Shirley right here. Because they were like playing, what did you play?
We were playing Uno.
They played Uno. They said, if I wish I could show y'all pictures of this place. The place is beautiful. The place had like mad props. And
Really?
yeah, I gotta show you pictures. And I mean, beautiful. Good amount of money spent. Okay. And music playing, all that stuff. And the vibe was
Humdrum.
sitting around, like if we were sitting here playing Uno. And this is a 21st
Mind you, while
birthday
I'm planning, I'm like, what do we do? What are we gonna do during the party? What do we do during the party? And you're like, it doesn't. It's just gonna flow. And I'm like, okay.
That's because I'm expecting people to be people. Like how I know people to be that attend parties. I'm just expecting that.
So everyone just sat down and
I figured that was what was gonna happen. I mean, I didn't really know like how to set a dance vibe. You know, like I'm gonna get up and dance. You know, if I want to, but like setting that vibe, that whole party was definitely a learning experience.
Because that's like once in your lifetime. Like you would never be 21 again. Sit and play.
Yeah.
And drink.
But like they were fulfilled. It's not
that
like
was enough for them.
They were like, oh, this is boring. They were fulfilled.
That was exciting. Oh, really?
They might have been bored. You never know. I feel like
Did anyone like attempt to like, hey?
No, that's why I say it seems like they were fulfilled.
Wow.
Like,
because I guess if someone step out the norm, like, oh, what are they doing? Are you okay?
To dance, you mean? Like if they started dancing?
Right.
I don't know. And I'm just like.
And you could have set the tone for your party. You were like, guys, come on, let's get up and do this thing.
Right.
If you wanted to, of course.
I feel like in the future, yeah.
And don't care what anyone says. Don't care what anyone says. Because, you know, it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, when you think back at the moment, like, how did you truly feel at the depths of your core? Like, was that what you anticipated to look like and feel like and be like? And that could bring such great disappointment. And that's not a good feeling, you know?
Yeah, the regret.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about a lot of things when it comes to action, like sort of pushing away this understanding that I might be disappointed with life and just keep pushing, regardless of, you know, feeling as if it won't live up to whatever crazy thing that I have in my mind. I'm going to try my best.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why you have to be at the foundation of feeling okay. As people, like individuals have to be at the foundation of feeling okay, because everything outside is chaos.
Right.
Everything outside of you can easily be chaos.
For sure.
But if you are also chaos, then, you know, that's where the problem comes from. But if you have foundation and you actually like have a starting point, you know, a level of understanding on which to move forth with, then it's like, all right, I have this grounding self. I can walk through the midst of chaos and I'm still going to be grounded and understand where I'm going, right? Because I also have an understanding that I can't control everything around me. But what I can control is me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about how do I take that control of me and use it towards my best interest. But also knowing, you know, it's like for me, and I think what people should learn, but it's very hard to live in both places at the same time, is understanding how to be okay with you, and then also understanding that everybody else is not going to be okay with you. You know, like just you can have the principle to treat, and I'm sure you know this, right? Like you can have the principle to treat others how they should be treated, but even if they don't treat you like that, and you still got to stand on that principle,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
And it's
hard.
Yes, go against everything I might be feeling, but
yeah,
it's one of those things.
Because Kenisha, you know, you're a spiritual person, you're a religious person, and you have principles that you stand on 10 toes down. No. Because also, it's not even about us having the same principles with her being my friend.
Right.
It's the fact that whatever principles you got, You stand on that shit, and I wholeheartedly respect that. It's not about we got to have the same exact
Right.
shit aligned.
For sure.
It's that's your character. A part of your character as a woman is what you believe in. You talk about your God, and you talk about
Yes.
she's standing on that, and
Yeah.
how she carries herself. She don't curse. That ain't bullshit. She don't fucking curse. like that's not cap. That's not like when we out of here, we gonna hear, oh shit. You don't even hear that. You never hear. Like, Kenisha's not faking it. Like, this is her. You know? And I respect anybody that can be who the fuck they are.
Right.
Because that's what she want to be. And trust, you think there's not people, even people like me, try to stray her away. I'll say, look over here. Look at now, yes, I'm not going to try to stray her away from her and her principles or whatever. I have conversations just to enlighten, and we have conversations to open each other's eyes. But it's never like, come on this side. Because we also have an understanding that it's not about a side.
Right.
Right? So, like, I'm looking at Kenisha like, all right, this is what you stand for. This is what you stand on. And you fucking do. And I respect you as a woman for that. And it ain't about we on the same page. No. But she's a person that is driven by values and morals and principles. And she stands in that and she walks in that path. And I respect anybody that can do that. And we all need to be trying to do that in our own, whatever way fits you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key word, what fits you. And yeah, people might not see it the way you do or agree with it and understand it, but that's for them and not for you. Because if that feels like this sits well with me and it's aligned with me, then everyone else will eventually catch up to it or not. But you have to keep moving because that's what works for you, you know? So
You have to find what works in a lot of things and stick with that. Stick with the values and learn that in a work apprenticeship, like a work preparation, about how values were important in me building my character in the workplace and basically like selling myself and being strong in relationships. Like, that's how you become a pillar in relationships and build that respect. And ultimately that's what relationships are about, respect. So you have to have that self-respect and you have to show that. And when and you show that you don't have self-respect if you act a certain way. So I think that it's all about the self and building up the self and meeting people and being in community with that, because you have to always be striving for more. I think that's another thing when it comes to Gen Z, back to that level of like giving up. It becomes like it's that struggle. It's that internal struggle. I think that a lot of Gen Z is going through an internal struggle or an environmental struggle based off of the family or where they're at. But it's a lot to figure out, and it all has to do with the self. So a lot of high functioning, I feel like I look at people my age that seem like they have it all together, but then there'll be a level of immaturity, and it's like, oh, like, how does immaturity play a part in you being able to do all these things, you know? And I sort of break that down for myself, and I don't really have the answer to that, but like the level of like just do and not overthinking it, I think has to do a little bit with that. But we're all at different places, and you know, the things that get me is not gonna be a thing to someone else, and vice versa. So
yeah. And Candice, thank you for that beautiful compliment.
That's right.
But you know, but when I think about it, it took me a great deal to get here, you know. And to your point, Kayla, a lot of self-reflection. Just like for a while, like even before completing my bachelor's, I was out of school for a while. And I'm like, why am I going to school? What is my purpose in going to school? Am I smart enough to go to school? Like, I had to like sit with myself and then think about, okay, if I am deciding to go to school, or even before getting to that point, I was like, well, what talents do I have? I'm like, well, so this is the conversation I had with myself. I'm like, well, I'm not a Beyonce. I don't have that talent. I'm just like, I'm not this, I'm not that. But what am I good at? I love art. I love to create. So I was like, okay, and I love working with children. So I'm going to pursue something along those lines. And after coming to that realization and saying, okay, I might not be the smartest. So what am I going to do to get to the point of like excel in all my classes. It might be you have to work extra hard. It might be you have to stay up a little later, get up a little earlier, and do it. And once I came to those facts for me or about me or those realizations, I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do to get those things done. And it took, like you said, a lot of self-reflection. It went back to yourself. Like,
But then you did it.
then I did it.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
So
And my
I
thing is, I
sat,
feel like
thought about
Gen
it,
Z stays
reflected on
stuck.
it, and
Yeah,
did
like
it.
they
Yeah.
reflect, they plan it out,
Right.
they got books, they got
Yeah.
spreadsheets.
Yes.
But the action, where is it? Where's
Yeah.
the action? Where's the follow through? Where's the consistency then also after that?
Yeah, that's so true. Because I remember when I completed my bachelor's, I was 8 months pregnant with Annalisa. And let me tell you, it was the last semester, and no one could deter me because I'm like, I am finishing this semester, this degree with this belly, and I'm dedicating it to her. 'Cause I felt like I'm going to school pregnant, so I'm like, she's also going to college. Because every time I was in a particular class, she would like do these somersaults in my stomach. But I was like, and I'm tired. I'm 8 months pregnant. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But I'm like, 4 classes full
I don't
time.
know nothing about that kind of fatigue. It ain't as regular tired you ever felt. That's when I learned that there's a difference between tired and fatigue.
Yeah.
I've experienced both.
Yeah.
And fatigue, there's no control. No control. If their body's like sleep,
Yeah.
lights out, no matter
Yeah.
what. And it's like to push through
Yes.
with that, like that's pushing.
Yeah. Push
Right?
through.
But pushing towards goals, which is self-fulfilling.
It is. Because when I did that, I was like, whoa. And not to, boast or anything of that nature, I got on the dean's list. I was able to get 4 A's. I was like determined to like finish on the highest note because my educational undergrad journey was like really horrible. I got bad grades. And then when I came to the point of like, okay, Kenisha, you need to do this and do it well and finish on a high note and set my mind. And that was the turning point for me. And so, yeah, thank God because it was hard, but I had to get it done. So
I look at a person like Cardi B and how she was pregnant with her first child. That's when Cardi B first got put really on and started making videos, music videos, her and Bruno Mars. Her had all these collabs, and then the belly was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And she pushed.
wow.
She pushed. And the thing is that I am not like, all right, yes, Cardi B's a rapper. I appreciate her rap and all of that. I'm not a full-blown Cardi B fan. But when I saw what she was doing and I saw how she was being pregnant, pushing, careers just blowing up, and she didn't want to stop it, like where she was at, and she didn't also abort her baby. She said, I'm going to have it both. I'm going to have it all. And she pushed and she did it. Whenever I watch a pregnant woman perform on a stage, I'm like, God bless you.
Seriously.
I don't know.
I said the same thing about Rihanna in that Super Bowl. I was like, whoa.
I don't know how, because unless you've been pregnant, you don't know.
Right.
And I just be like, kudos to you.
Seriously.
So a woman like that, a woman like a Cardi B, I don't give a fuck how ratchet it sound like she is. I don't give a fuck all that scandal shit. That bitch pushed. You understand? I watched her push and persevere through a hard and difficult time to even be. Now, yeah, everybody's pregnancies are different. However, it's still hard.
It's still hard.
And
around.
Because I saw that push in her, I have a lot of respect for Cardi B. And it ain't even about the stuff she's rapping about. It's not even about that. It's about, I see that drive in that woman.
Right.
And I see
That's
how
a key word.
she pushed.
Yeah.
How she pushed to reach her goals and achieve her goals. And I have the utmost respect for that. And it's like, that's a person that goes to show you anything's possible.
Right.
If you really push and try. If you want it, you can go get it.
And clearly she showed up.
Exactly.
She showed up. She committed to what she said she was going to do, pregnant and all, and clearly did it, And, those that are not in those positions, like, you might not have a lot of responsibilities. Say you're living at home and you can't show up to an internship. You can't show up to class. You can't show up to a job on time. Like, it's just wild, And people look at those things because I'm like, you're trying to either build yourself up or tear yourself down by the decisions that you make,
Self-sabotage.
Yes.
you know? And
Yes.
so it's very important to really be wise in what you decide to do, you know?
Because I want to go back to, I know a little earlier today when we were talking about the situation that happened and a person that wasn't able to come, and then you were saying something to the effect of like, some people might praise a person like that for what they did, for like, oh, it's good for you that you didn't, that you
Oh,
kept
like
your boundaries.
prioritizing, yeah, your boundaries, like talking, like the self-care of prioritizing yourself in a situation and not like people pleasing, and
Now, I
understanding.
agree with that. Trust me, I do not feel that you should people please. That anybody,
Right.
no, because it's not about you, right? Things should intrinsically feel right,
Right.
and not feel like you're actively going against what feels right,
Right.
right? Like if you feel like you're actively not doing what you should be, probably not the right thing, the best thing, right? But it's like in
But
that.
yes, but also to add to that, what people expect you should do, or people want from you. But go on, because it's layered like that. Like maybe you feel like you should do it, but then it's like someone in your ear, or like family comes into that as well when it comes to people pleasing.
Granted, granted, I do not feel like people should people please. Like I said, it should be like something that you feel is right intrinsically or whatever. But I do think it is there are many situations where that is true and accurate, and that should be put into effect. But there's also ways in which to go about that, right? While you're still handling yourself with respect and treating the other people with respect. Like, for example, like I don't think that it's okay to like just say like there's a level of planning, of thought that should go into agreeing or not agreeing to do something, right? Which means before you agree, right? Because in this case, this is not a people pleasing thing. This didn't
That's where
start.
the boundary needed to be.
Yeah,
Right.
like this situation, the topic that was going to be discussed, it didn't start from the person feeling like they had the people please. It started from them genuinely wanting to talk about something
Right.
and expressing that, and then me being like, all right, let's hook this
Right.
up, and here's a date, and blah blah blah. So it's like, please, I just feel like understand that. Yes, things happen in life. Things may come up, and there will be times where you absolutely got to call something off that you wholeheartedly wanted to do.
For sure.
Cool, life happens. But when it's situations that you honestly just dropped the ball and you honestly just overspoke and you honestly didn't even think about if you were able to commit to that date or whatever because you didn't think about what else was going on in your life. Right? You didn't think about what else was going on in your life. I can't think about what else. I don't know. I just asked if a date worked for you,
Right,
So
right.
it's like it becomes now, you're now also responsible for the making plans. You're
balance.
responsible for your agreeing or not agreeing or whatever, like because nobody else is in your head and nobody else can say, oh, well, don't you got this to do or don't you think you should? Nobody else can do that for you. So it's like, yes, if something comes up, right? But something can't come up that you already knew was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago, a month ago, or whatever, right? Then that just becomes about you said something, you made a word, that you were going to do something, and then life and reality hit you when the time got close.
Right.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like, but that part, that's the disassociation part. That's like, you should have been associated when we was making these plans. Like,
Right.
you should have been really into reality on what's your reality when
Right.
we were making these
That's true.
plans. Because
yeah.
I didn't force this upon anybody.
Right. It was brought to you.
I didn't force this. I didn't even push it. I was just open to it.
Right.
And
That point.
and welcomed it and then planned. So then it becomes, oh, it can't happen anymore. Cool, but now let's look at what is the aftermath from that, right? Now the aftermath is we now have to reset.
Right.
because we have an order and structure to how we do this, right? So now we have to reset. And then even Kayla had said earlier, well, do you want to cancel? No, I don't want to cancel because guess what? We have good old Dom back there. Hey, Dom, who has to come from
Seriously.
God knows where,
Right, very
right?
far.
And I'm not going to send nobody an email the day of to say,
Yeah.
that's not
At the
me.
very last minute, yeah.
That's not me,
That go
and that's
against
not
your
in my
integrity.
character.
Right,
And
yeah.
I'm not going to let anybody else's fuck up make me other than I am.
Right.
So it's like, understand, yeah, great, you did what you had to do for you in the moment, which is cool. However, you did matter. You know, it wasn't just that, oh, everything's cool, it's all right if I'm not there. No, because this was based on you. And it's not just about this one person in this situation, but this is about, like, in general, like, you guys matter.
Right.
Like, you guys being present and showing up and doing what you say you're going to do matters to people. It matters to how you're building your own character. It matters to how you are viewed in this society.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm not saying care about what everybody thinks, but some things apply. And when they do apply, you should self-assess and make the necessary changes and grow. Right? But it's like, you guys matter, bro. You guys matter. What you say matters. Planning matters. Thinking things through matters. Being realistic with, what you can and cannot deliver on matters. Because people are counting on you. You see,
Yeah.
that's part right there.
Yeah, counting.
People
Yeah.
count on you. What does that
Yeah.
mean to you guys?
Yeah. That's so true.
It's not about putting pressure.
Right.
It's about, you're meaningful and you're valued and we value you and we need you too.
Yes.
Participate in this shit.
Right.
Give us some energy
Yeah.
here.
Right.
Yeah. And let's build together. And like,
Is critical thinking a part of the, I don't know, the
they
schedule
lack that.
in school? Like, I remember that was a course that has to be taken. Like,
Yeah,
do they still like
it's
implement
not a
that?
course. I didn't have a critical thinking course. It was aspects of certain courses that I took that was like critical thinking.
That surrounded
Yeah,
it.
it's also go ahead.
No. Yeah, I mean, because that's
It's
something.
lacking, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because you're not really thinking through every possibility that might come about. So in doing so, then it will help you like navigate, okay, what do I need to push back, push forward? How do I need to go about doing this and doing that so that I can actually be fully committed to the commitment that I made?
Yeah. And some things are trial and error in life, right?
Yeah.
Some things you're not going to know unless you fucked up, something happened, and then you
Right.
experience that shit, and then I'm never going to
Yeah.
do that. Like,
That's
some
true.
shit in life is like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I always try to give you them little tidbits, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
the San Francisco thing with the Uber. I'm like, I've been through that. I thought that shit was another charge too, but I found
remember
out that was
Uncle told me.
Uber, right? Like, so when I know these little things, I'm
Yeah.
going to share it if it comes about with my daughters. But many things is you just have to do and experience.
That too, yeah.
And it's okay.
Right.
It's okay to fail.
It is.
I think that disassociating is a really huge part of it because we're talking a lot about self-assessment, self-reflection, and like the gritty work and like being present and participating. And all of that is working against a system of distraction. That's a big ass system. Like social media, comfort, dopamine. We're talking about like levels of the brain. It's like brain mechanics that we're messing with when we're on social media and like video games, and it's definitely affected like our brains and how we handle things. So this is a very intentional practice that Gen Z needs to take on, and as following Gen Alpha. Because it's working against us. Everything works against us. Like, in a situation when it comes to scheduling and stuff, like, it will be so easy for you to say something and feel like you can do something in that moment, and then be on your phone and then not even realize, and then time passes. That happens so much. Like, time passes and reality hits you, and you have to like, oh, like this is today, or what day is it, or da 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 da. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of the practice that we're talking about. I feel like also lends to the fact that we grew up with phones, and we're the generation that we sort of had a little bit of a childhood before we grew up with phones. So I think it's very much sitting down with yourself, like you said that you did. So that would be my number one thing to say. Like, it's very much a working against the system, and
Yeah.
working against like your own impulses, and feeling uncomfortable until it becomes comfortable, because this is ultimately what's important and what's meaningful, and meaning comes from you and comes from purpose. So it all has to do with that work.
And with that social media influence, the thing is, you know, I feel like this generation is looking at everything that can come from it, the wealth and the fame, but they worked to get to that point. And here you are scrolling on their video, because I have to
Right.
check myself as
That's
well.
true too.
I'm like, oh, okay, let me not stay on here too long. I need to get X, Y, and Z done. So I'm just like, let me get off for the next 10, 15 minutes. You have to like put a cap for yourself, because you could literally be there scrolling and be a zombie, just
And not
going through the
living your
various
life.
ups and downs and emotions. Like, oh, I
I
wish I
start
had
feeling
this.
sick. I'm gonna be
Oh,
honest.
no,
If
seriously.
it's too long,
Because the
I'm like, I
brain,
feel queasy.
yeah.
I'm like, I gotta put
Yes.
this shit down.
That is so
Like,
true.
is it just me?
No,
I
it's me
started to feel
too.
sick.
I'm like, no, it's just like that glare in your eyes
Yeah.
that it channels down. It's too much. And you have to like hold your own self accountable. If no one else is going to do it for you, you have to do it for yourself. You got to give yourself the pep talks. You got to, speak those positive words within you, because you're not going to have that person next to you. You might not have your mom or your
Do you feel like
friend.
you're still a scroller like that? I don't feel like you do. You do? Do you?
No, I remember the day where I realized that social media was not real life. Like, there was a
Oh my
point.
God, that day.
No, I remember this because this is an important lesson I'm going to take with me. It was like realizing, and now I'm in a phase of like, oh, action, putting action into my life. But realizing that social media and the fakeness of it, it's like, even if you're consuming all of this stuff and you feel as if it's because you feel all high and mighty, oh,
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
learning self-help stuff and I'm so smart and da 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 da, but then you can't talk to people
Excuse me.
and you're shaking
The
a
irony,
lot.
the irony of it all. It's a social media, but you
Yeah.
can't socialize in real
And
life.
other things. And that day, I think
Yeah.
something had happened in terms of like relationally, and I was like, oh, but that doesn't correlate with social media. And I was like, oh, that's not real life. And like that is a wormhole. I can't even really explain it. I would like to talk more about like social media as a whole to like wrap my head around that. But talking about it now, it's like that was a moment for me. And now, especially now that I'm like more into action, it's like digital detoxing. Like that's a big thing right now. Putting away the phone, the phone away in a lockbox and stuff. The fact that I learned this is radioactive, and that keeping it in your pocket or like near your breast or anything
Oh,
like
yeah.
that,
Yeah, even on your bed.
dangerous.
Yeah, get it off
Even
your
on
bed.
your
Yeah.
bed or near your sleep. Like even
Yeah.
learning that was like, oh,
Yeah.
cancer.
I can
So yeah.
interrupting your sleep. It's like the things that you go through, the REM sleep, all that is like having that wave channel wherever, however it works, is like not good at all. But yeah, we have to just like stay off certain things.
And you're also living other people's lives. That's the thing. Like, we say you're afraid of living, and then you go online and you see someone that you really admire that shows their personality, that you feel this parasocial connection to, and they're sharing their feelings and they're sharing the visuals of their lives. And we're humans, we're visual creatures. And then it's just the most beautiful, it's the most fulfilling thing in that moment. It's hitting your dopamine, it's hitting your soul, it's hitting all the markers as if you're living your life, but you're not.
You made me think about something. I was having a conversation with someone, and they decided to take Instagram off their phone, the app. And I was like, just listening, and she was talking, and she was like, if I want to go have a picnic, I'm going to have a picnic. I'm not going to watch someone having a picnic. If I want to go travel wherever, I'm going to go travel. I'm not going to watch someone travel. I was like, it seems so simple, right? But I was like, after she said what she said and made her points, I'm like, you know what?
Voyeurism.
That makes sense.
Once I heard unboxing was a thing, when
Oh
Kayla,
my God.
listen, we ain't gonna live this down. When I
I'm
first
not
learned
gonna live it down.
about have you heard about that?
Unboxing whatever
See,
gift they're given.
When when I don't even know how this came out. I think maybe he's watching it. I'm like, what is that? I don't know. When Kayla explained to me what unboxing was, I said, you lying. Motherfuckers is really watching people open up their shit. We still have yet to do that. We have to do this. We just have to, for the fun of it, I'm going to fucking do an unboxing. Because, what?
No, I know. I said to myself, I'm sitting here watching someone unveil a gift.
When
that
I seen that, I said, we're doing really bad as a people.
Calls.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Because what? That's fucking psychotic. It's not like, it ain't it's like, to them, it's like how when we watch Bob Ross. You know, the painter, the white man with the fro.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Relaxing.
Very monotone voice.
Like, that's what y'all get. Wait, but what are you getting? My thing is what are you getting from
Well, the ASMR
jealousy, probably.
Well, yeah.
watching somebody
doing
open
hauls,
up their
like,
shit?
yeah,
What
it's
is
like
that
makeup
doing
hauls.
to your psyche?
Yeah, it's like greed and malice, all this stuff that could build up in you. Because I've seen
Materialism.
people make comments like,
Yeah,
why are you showing us? But I'm like, well, you're commenting, why are you showing
you're
us?
watching
but
it.
you're right.
Yeah,
So
why are
it's
you
like,
watching it? Why are you here?
clearly there's an audience out there that loves this. That's why they continue producing it, you know?
And there's an audience for everything. We need to listen.
there
Bridge
really
by
is.
3.
Come on.
All right. We need a real big audience.
Yes.
Okay. We need you to click like and subscribe.
All
We
the
really need you
time.
to do
And
that.
comment. Let's talk.
Comment,
Comment.
please.
Yes.
There's so many people that tell me verbally or write to me personally. Oh, I love this. Love what you're doing.
Put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments.
Yes.
We're about to like be on soon. We will be on like streaming platforms and stuff. So like we really want to start interacting with you guys. We really want the Bridge by 3 to grow and blossom.
100%.
We really want to bridge the gap between generations. Because as you can see, we have a lot to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk
Right?
about for sure.
And
And
come
if
to a
you
common
like it,
ground.
share it. Share it on your platform or tell someone about it. Send them the link. All those things really help us.
So do you guys feel like we did our takeaways, or do we want to do?
No,
takeaways?
let's do a round.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's
let's
do
do
a
a
round
round
of
of takeaways. What's your takeaway, Kenisha?
What comes to mind is like just like we discussed throughout the conversation, showing up, right? Because that shows your integrity and really bringing forth the best part of you, because that's going to let someone see you for who you are. Unfortunately, it could be a good thing or a bad thing, but really sticking to some core values that will not just benefit you, but it would make an impact on others, even though you might not think so. And those things to me are very important.
I would say if you are a Gen Z specifically, you should really take the time, like we said, to self-reflect. And if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what your purpose is, or if you even feel as if there's a meaning and you don't know what to do with life, you don't know how to do this life thing, follow what you love, follow the people that you love, in your heart, as in like prioritizing the community, and go as deep into those things as you possibly can. And through that, you'll find hardship and you'll be like, oh, this is hard, but this is something that I love. Understand your why. Understand why you're doing things, and understand what you commit to and choose that wholeheartedly, because devotion is an important part of life. And it's important to show up.
My takeaway is not only to Gen Z, even though right today we're talking about Gen Z, but the what we're saying about Gen Z, many people in this world hold, right? And it's not only about a specific age range of people. These are just qualities that people, some have and some lack, right? So my takeaway for today is just everybody matters, right? And I think it's important for everybody to understand that they matter, even if they have yet to been able to see the part that they play. But just understand, like, everybody plays a part.
That's true.
From the biggest thing to the smallest thing, the microscopic things we can't see, everything plays a part. And as long as we get up and do whatever there is to do every day,
Yeah.
and be who we are meant to be every day, like, which is basically be your truest self, be whoever's true to you today. And you might be different tomorrow, but I'm sure it better come with growth, right? Like, but just be true to who you are and understand that you matter.
Right.
You matter. We all matter.
Right.
And everybody plays a part. But when some of us stop playing our part and we start falling off, then what happens to the rest of us? Then other people have to pick up the slack, right? And we all suffer in a way. So, like, just
And that's not
understand
okay.
that. Like, you're nobody is out here just as themselves, even if you might feel like you are, right? Because there's
Right.
the feelings.
Right. That we sit on.
But nobody actually is.
I'm gonna be rewatching this episode all the damn time. Rewatch
Right. I'm like,
Good.
seriously.
because
Yeah. And sometimes we need reminders, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, we need reminders. We haven't reached the point of, like, okay, I've learned everything.
Yeah.
I've come to this point.
No.
Yeah, we're constantly learning once we're alive, so, and growing
Yes.
and changing.
Well,
But
this has been the Bridge by Three.
Thank you for
so
joining
much
us.
for joining.
Yes.
Like, subscribe.
share. Thank you, guys.